Hello and welcome. My name is Samaris, and today I'll be providing you a guide on how to set up your HUD as well as some very useful macros that make it easy to cast certain abilities like Cover, Nature's Mean, Palisade, even Rescue on your bar to target specific players in your party list. Now, what you want to do is you want to get two of your hotbars set to be vertical, and you want to line these up with your party list. Although this does look a little bit clunked up in the center of your screen, it does ultimately make it easier as a healer, as a tank. You're always going to keep an eye on that HP anyway. You can also resize the hotbar, so that way the icons that you end up selecting are closer matching the size of the player icons on your party list as well. So definitely makes it a bit more visually appealing, considering that you're going to have this in the center of the screen as it is. By matching the icons to each respective party list, you can actually just click on that specific icon related to that skill that you'll have next to those party members, and your macro will essentially make it so that skill is cast on that player. We'll go over in detail as to how to make each individual macro based on the skill that you want to use, and then how it actually assigns to each player. Another really important thing to note is your hotbars. You want to make sure that whichever hotbar you have on the left side, in this case for me it's 9 and 10, you want to make sure these hotbars are not being shared. By not being shared, that means that when I switch classes, those hotbars will stay attached to whatever class that is. So you can see 1 through 4 are respective to that class, and 9 and 10 are respective to that class. But all these hotbar buttons on the right, they don't change. So when I switch classes, it doesn't change along with class. Alright, so as an example, you see I'm swapping classes from one to the other, and I'm assigning numbers to each respective hotbar, so to say. And when I switch classes, the numbers don't tag along. So you can see where each class gets their own set of hotbars. Okay, so now we're going to actually make the macros. So I use /m icon and then the name of the skill. That way the actual skill appears on the macro icon. This way you can see what the cooldown is, even though the skill information doesn't appear. So it doesn't actually tell you what the skill does, but you know what it does. Then I use /ac, the name of the skill, and keep in mind spelling counts, and then I number it 2 through 8 for the members of the party on the party list. Obviously I'm number 1, so we don't want to have a number 1. Then I put them down on each respective party member. That way, if I need to, I can just click on that icon which is next to that party member, and this will cause that skill to hit that party member. Alright, since our focus is on Paladin, the next macro we're going to set up is Intervention. Now we're going to start off with /m icon, and we're going to put Intervention because we want the skill to appear as the macro icon. Okay, and this will of course let us know when the cooldown's up. It's going to let us know if the skill is available, if you have enough oath gauge set up. And ultimately, by doing that, I can remove this skill from my hotbar because I'm going to have it on the icon. Now again, it doesn't tell me the information on the skill, but it does give me the cooldown information. And all I'm going to do is repeat the process I did for Cover and do the /ac, the skill, and then party number, which would do 2 through 8 once again. Okay, and once we've made that specific macro, we're going to put it on the respective party list, and we're going to sort our party list, and you can see how now it is set up the way I have it, which is tanks, then healers, then DPS, specifically for my tank classes. The next important macro though we're going to cover is the mouse over macro, and it's exactly that, MO. And this macro makes it so if you highlight a player's name in your party list or highlight them with your mouse on the field, it will cast the skill directly onto that player. But enough talking about this, let's go see it in action and see how this actually works. Okay, my goal here is not really to participate too much in the fate, so I'm sorry, and I thank everyone who's doing all the work. I'm just going to hit it a few times to make sure I get my contribution, because that's important. It's mainly what I'm here for. I want to get that light so I can continue to re-roll my Bard Bow, so I can continue to be disappointed. Thanks, Eureka. Okay, now that I'm satisfied that I've hit the target enough, let's go ahead and take a look to see what the macro actually looks like. Now, I wasn't smart enough at the moment, and then I did not go into Shield or Sword Oath, so I didn't build up my Oath gauge. So because of that, I can't show you the Intervention macro, but I will show you what it looks like if I cast the Mouse Over macro on the Warrior, only because they're the only one alive. Not that they actually need the cover, but why not? So, I currently have the Mouse Over macro on the left bar. I'm going to bring it down to my main bars. I'm going to replace it on number 1 just because it's going to be easier to simply click number 1. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the tank highlighted on the party list. And then you'll see. I'm going to have the mouse over there. I'm not going to actually click them. And I hit number 1 and it goes right onto them. And it's really just that easy. So I'm not completely satisfied that we're done, so I'm going to show you the macro for if I wanted to hit it on an actual party member list. And again, it's just that simple. I've got the Bard is number 4 on the list, I've got macro to target number 4, and there they go, covered. Now, just like I mentioned before, since the bars are attached to that respective class, when you switch classes, all those skills are gone. But Paladin obviously isn't the only class that benefits from these macros. For example, you can do Palisade. I currently have it set up to do target or target of my target. So if I'm targeting the tank, it will hit them. If I'm targeting the boss, it will still hit the tank, or whoever the main tank is. But you can easily change that to be party member number 2 or number 3, or do a mouse over macro. Whatever works easiest for you. There really are a lot of different ways that you can make this work for you, your party, and the respective content that you're doing. Nature's Mean is another skill I have that target or target of target macro set up because it's definitely very useful in situations where the tank needs to get that extra healing. But every dungeon, every content is different, and you have to find what works best for you and your party. That's really all I have for this video. If you watched it in its entirety, I am thoroughly impressed and I appreciate that. If you could, make sure you hit that subscribe button, set that bell up for notifications. But ultimately, I just want to build a better community and grow upon what Final Fantasy XIV has brought to us. There's an expansion coming out here in summer, set to be early July, and it's really going to be an amazing experience, and I just look forward to playing with you all.